A woman is standing in line at a claw machine arcade in Suntec City. It's midnight, and she's been there for 8 hours. The machine is filled with one thing, a little toy monster with crooked teeth and fuzzy ears named Labubu. She's not alone. Around her are grown adults, some in corporate wear, some in pajamas. The air is tense. She puts in a $10 note and another, and she's already spent over $300 tonight. But she doesn't win, and she doesn't stop either. What started as a cute toy for my bedroom turned into a full-blown obsession. And she's not the only one. This isn't just a toy trend, it's a phenomenon. Labubu, this tiny creature born from a storybook, has taken over the world. It's in fashion shoots, on celebrities' handbags, and there's probably a Labubu near you. We'll go deeper into the stories of people whose lives have been consumed by this plushie, the extreme lengths that some have gone to just get their hands on the perfect one. What does this say about us, about our culture, our psychology, and our relationship with celebrity, consumption, and identity? Today on Side Note, we're peeling back on this Labubu craze, how a monster toy became a global obsession. Quick note before we go any further, everything I'm sharing in this episode is based on publicly available information, news articles, interviews, and social media posts. This is a commentary based on what's been reported and observed. I'm really just trying to understand the phenomenon. Okay, let's keep going. Hong Kong-born designer K-Sing Leung, raised in the Netherlands and then based in Belgium, drew inspiration from Nordic folklore and the whimsical tales he loved as a kid. And that's how he brought to life The Monsters in 2015, a picture book series featuring mischievous elves called Labubus, kind-hearted, playful, and a little chaotic. They weren't really toys yet at this point. They were little characters with stories to tell. According to Leung, there are about 100 different Labubus in the series. One of the storylines involves a Labubu who's dating a shy skeleton called Tai Coco, who often playfully teases him. So you get these cute stories for kids based on these cheeky little elves. Leung later teamed up with a creative startup called How to Work, producing figurines from the book series. But the real turning point came in 2019 when the plushies found a massive stage. Pop Mart. The Chinese toy company teamed up with Leung to introduce Labubu into the world of designer toy collectors. His artistic vision became a reality, and his creations could now be found in stores all over the world. Pop Mart launched Labubu as part of the Monsters collection, positioning it as collectible art for young adults. They're called blind boxes. Each Labubu comes in sealed packaging, and you only discover which figure you get after opening it. That uncertainty sparked repeated purchases. And then came what many people cite as the turning point. In April 2024, a photo of Lisa from Blackpink hugging a giant Labubu plushie was circulated online, and another one of her carrying a bag with a Labubu charm. No ad campaign, no fanfare, just one Instagram story, and suddenly everyone wanted one. Labubu wasn't just collectible art anymore. It was a cultural icon carried as keychains on designer bags, shared through TikTok unboxing clips, and discussed in mainstream press. And then it was seen on Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, and Dua Lipa. Labubu's now an A-list accessory. So by late 2024, early 2025, Labubu is now everywhere. People weren't just buying these toys, they were treating them like the last golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. I'm talking camping outside Pop Mart stores for hours, sometimes showing up 3 or 4 hours before the doors even open. Some people even started lining up at dawn just to get first dibs at a blind box. In the UK, it got so bad, Pop Mart had to temporarily stop selling Labubus in person because people were literally fighting over them in stores, like actual fistfights. And when they're not throwing hands, they're throwing money. There's this one guy in Singapore, I think he's like an architect, who spent over $10,000 in a single month playing claw machines. Almost every night after work, he would go to the arcade trying to catch Labubus. And it became a part of this routine, like grabbing a drink after work, but instead it's trying to win plushies. On Reddit, collectors started comparing spending habits, and a lot of people admitted that they've dropped between $700 to $2,000 in just a few months. And then there's this woman in Pennsylvania, Danny Barron, who owns around 150 Labubus. Her collection is worth over $10,000. She found out about it through TikTok, like so many others, and it just became a thing, a big, expensive thing. This kind of obsession isn't new. It just evolves. Let's rewind to the year 2000. In Singapore, McDonald's partnered with Sanrio and released a series of Hello Kitty plush toys in wedding costumes. I had those Hello Kitties at one point in my life, and they were part of a limited time Happy Meal promotion. And it got wild. People camped overnight, they swarmed McDonald's outlets as soon as they opened, and there were reports of fights breaking out, windows got smashed, delivery drivers were mobbed. It got so serious that riot police had to be called in at one outlet, and I think it was like the Boon King one. The demand was so out of control that McDonald's had to shut down some stores and issue official apologies. Fast forward to more recent times, and it's the same story, just different characters. There's also the Supreme and Oreo collab. Supreme, as a streetwear brand, is famous for its limited edition drops. And when the cookie launched, a single pack was listed on the resale market for $500. And by noon that day, 2 separate eBay auctions had bids climbing to $4,000. Just a few days later, one of those packs hit a high bid of $52,000. And by the weekend, that number nearly doubled to over $96,000. All this for Oreos with a Supreme logo. So we've seen in the past the lengths consumers will go to just to get the things they want. It's how grown adults end up fighting over a cat plushie, and how a cookie becomes a down payment for a house. So how is the Labubu different this time round? Lisa from Blackpink might have introduced it into our collective consciousness, but why do we keep coming back? In just the first 6 months of 2024, Pop Mart's Monsters collection, which includes Labubu, made about $870 million in revenue. And Pop Mart, their market value shot up to over $40 billion. That's more than Mattel, Sanrio, and Hasbro combined. Pop Mart is now valued more than the companies that's behind Barbie, Hello Kitty, and the Transformers. And that is crazy! This rapid growth in just over a year has been largely due to the revenue that they can generate from a single customer, all because of a sales strategy called blind boxes. Shark Tank Australia investor Sabri Subi described it best, calling the blind box mechanic a legal dopamine casino, where every unopened box is a promise of surprise and instant regret if you don't get the specific one you want. Sometimes stores will even limit how many boxes you can buy at once. So you line up. You buy 3 boxes. You get 3 of the same ones. So you go to the back of the line and you try again. It is so addictive. You feel like you're so close to getting that elusive Labubu. And when you do get it, the payoff feels really good. The blind box experience isn't exactly a lottery, but the mechanics are kind of the same, with, I might add, better chances than a jackpot. In most collections, you have a 1 in 72 chance of getting the Labubu you want. For the more rare or special Labubus, like the Wacky Mart series, the odds are 1 in 144. For comparison, the probability of you winning the jackpot is 1 in 13 million. So it sounds like the odds are in your favor in getting the Labubu of your dreams. You would happily buy more to increase your chances. It sounds like a game of luck, but it's not. It's scarcity marketing. Companies like Pop Mart have basically taken that feeling of anticipation and thrill of chance and turned it into a business model. And that's how you build a $40 billion toy company. But here's the part that doesn't show up in the unboxing videos. The part that isn't fun to think about. What happens after the excitement fades? What happens to the toys that people don't want? The common ones that collectors toss aside because they didn't get the rare one. Most of them end up sitting in storage, sold off for cheap, or eventually thrown away. Labubus are made from plastic and vinyl, so they don't exactly break down. They're not biodegradable, and they come packaged in foil, more plastic, and glossy boxes. When people are buying dozens of these blind boxes at once just to get the figure they want, that's a lot of waste. Not just from the toys, but from the carbon footprint of the shipping and even the returns. Now, let's talk about the knockoffs, the Lafufus. Because of how popular the official ones are, the market is full of counterfeits. And most of them are made with low-cost materials in unregulated factories. And that means possible safety risks.
There's a British group that is now sounding the alarm on those fake versions of the Labubu dolls. You know that we've been calling them Lafufus. Maybe you have one in your life. Britain's Chartered Trading Standards Institute says many of the fake versions are causing choking hazards for small kids. And they could also carry toxic substances.
But it also raises big questions about labor. Who's making these toys? What are they being paid? And what conditions are they working in? There's almost never any transparency around that. And then there's the financial impact too. Some people go way beyond their budget just trying to keep up. There was a young man in Malaysia who owed money to 14 loan sharks after failing to cash in on the Labubu hype. This isn't about just toys. It's about the habits that we're building. The pressure to keep buying and be part of a moment. The marketing is designed that way. Short drops, blind boxes, flash sales, social media hype. All of it is meant to keep you watching, clicking, buying. It rewards quick decisions, not thoughtful ones. Look, I know buying one isn't going to wreck the planet, and I'm not saying you shouldn't treat yourself or collect things that you love. But this culture that we're in, where we chase something just because it's trending, or where we measure our happiness in hauls and hypes, it has a cost to the environment, to our wallets, and our peace of mind. And maybe it's worth slowing down and asking why we're buying in the first place. So what is it about the Labubu that turns this innocent toy into a full-blown obsession? My online research points to these three things. First, it's the blind box model. You don't know which one you're getting until you open it. And that surprise element, that's not random. It's scientifically addictive. It's basically a tiny slot machine in a box. You're not just buying a toy, you're chasing a feeling. Second, there's the celebrity effect. When a celebrity like Lisa from Blackpink has a Labubu charm on their bag, it becomes a status symbol. The celebrity endorsement made the Labubu an object of desire. And third, it's about crowd mentality, aka FOMO. Unboxing a Labubu on TikTok, trading with strangers on Reddit, sharing tips about which Pop Mart store might have a drop. These become rituals. It's not just shopping, it's an experience. And that combo, addictive surprise, exclusive cool factor, and social currency, that's emotional engineering. I think it's completely fair to say that trends can be fun. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a part of something. Buying a Labubu or a Hello Kitty plushie or a pair of shoes that makes you feel good doesn't make you a bad person or a mindless consumer. Sometimes these little things, they do bring joy. They give you something to look forward to, they remind you of being a kid, or help you feel close to people who share the same sentiment. With Labubu, we saw how something lighthearted can quickly spiral into something more consuming. One figure turns into 10, 10 into 50, and somewhere along the way, it stops being about the toy. Even the most rational, self-aware among us are not immune. Having said that, I don't think the answer is to avoid trends completely. It's to pay attention. Notice when excitement turns into pressure, when collecting stops bringing joy and starts feeling like a chore. Labubu isn't the villain here. It's cute, it's nostalgic, and it's fun. But it's also a mirror. It's a reminder of how easy it is to lose ourselves in the chase and how important it is to protect our time, our money, and peace. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This was Side Notes. I'll see you in the next one.